بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
We live in difficult times. We live in such difficult times that even within the context of the Ummah, within the context of Muslims, there is so much disagreement and so much confusion and so many groups and so many sects and so many divisions. Even if you zoom in into one group of Shia or Sunni, you will find within that there are groups within groups of different manhaj, of different goals, of different ideas, of pro this and anti this. And there are people in the name of ilm who sit as scholars but confuse others, mislead others, say things that young minds get confused about, divides people and thinking, is this right or is that right? When we are caught in this cyclone of confusion where we cannot decide who is right and who is wrong, we have looked at knowledge, we have looked at Quran, we have looked at hadith, we have heard both sides of the argument. We still can't tell who is right, who is wrong. At that point, what will rescue us is wisdom. Because if we have hikmah, we will immediately see the right path and we will not be misled to the wrong path. Because that is what hikmah does, isn't it? We said hikmah is the active form of the Quran. It is besides the kitab, it supplements the kitab, it acts in a dynamic manner. So you will immediately, that wisdom within us will tell us which is the right path. But wisdom is not easy to find because we cannot say, I want wisdom, I'm going to go to the hawza or I'm going to read a book and acquire wisdom. Allah gives it. Yu'til hikmah man yasha. He gives wisdom to whoever He wills. And whoever He gives wisdom has been given a great amount of good. So it is not our choosing. What we can do is make our hearts fertile so that the tree is ready to plant. Once we make our hearts fertile and ready, it is Allah who will drop that seed in that fertile land of our heart from which that tree will grow. But getting to that point is the challenge, isn't it? Finding that wisdom. Forget about finding wisdom in ourselves. Finding a wise person is difficult. You could spend entire life looking for them. And the hukama who are wise, they purposely hide themselves and they will not give their hikmah to anyone who is not deserving, because they have been instructed by Allah not to share this to anyone who does not deserve it, because they will not know its value. So we ask two questions, just 2 points very quickly. Why is it that sometimes we seek wisdom but it is denied to us? And this is more for myself and inshallah a point of reflection for the rest of us. One of the reasons that I find when I look at hadith as to why hikmah is denied is this excessive love for pleasure, for dunya. Not to fulfill a physical need, but to lust for it with excessiveness, so that one is obsessed and addicted to physical pleasure. We have one hadith from Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam: whoever abstains from this world, whoever does not take from this world more than what he or she needs, then Allah plants wisdom in his heart. Again, plant. He gives it root in his heart, and once He does it, He makes him speak wisdom through his tongue. Notice again, Allah makes him speak. وَأَنْتَقَ عَلَى لِسَانِ. He brings it out on his tongue. But the condition is zuhud. Other reason, and we will conclude with that, is arrogance or takabbur. That a heart that is arrogant will not acquire wisdom. Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam says, he says, in order to plant a tree, the land has to be fertile and has to be soft. Many of you do gardening in summer, isn't it? When the ground is hard or there's a lot of clay, you can't plant anything. And the Imam says, takabbur makes the heart hard. When the heart is like a solid, smooth rock, wisdom can never be planted there. It requires tawadu or humility to soften the heart. And once it is softened, then Allah can plant His tree of wisdom where it is deserving. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense why arrogance would stop us. Because let's now conclude and bring this to a full circle. We said that hikmah is only given by Allah. We said it is a precious commodity. We said Allah gives it to only those who deserve it. We said wisdom is the ability to act in the most appropriate manner at every time and under every circumstance. We said this is not possible except by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then we said because we can't become Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the only way possible is for us to surrender. When we have surrendered completely, then Allah acts through us. And because Allah is acting through us, that is why wisdom manifests itself through our actions. Now if the ego stands in the way and there is an I, then how will Allah act through us? That submission will never happen. Because Allah wants to use me, use my tongue, use my hands, use my life to manifest Himself and make me an ayat from ayatullah, so that people see Allah everywhere they turn. أَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Wherever you turn, there you will see the face of Allah. That is what He wants, that everything, the sun, the moon and His ashraful makhluqat should be a mirror for His asma. And so we begin to see now that wisdom requires me, because I have a physical self and I have a spiritual self. When I focus on the physical, when I focus on addictions and desire, I blind my spiritual self. And so excessive indulgence in the world stops spirituality and stops wisdom growing in my heart. And arrogance stops it as well. When I fight these two and I move them to the side, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with wisdom. And the more wisdom we acquire, the more we will appreciate Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhi salam. They define wisdom itself. There is no higher level of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is no one in the history of humanity who has acted with such aptness and such preciseness at every moment of their lives like these individuals.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد